Most men will never admit this, but deep down they already know it's true. They are average. Not because life is unfair, not because they were cursed with bad luck, but because they've silently chosen it. And here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. Average is easy. Average is the soft bed you sink into when discipline feels too hard. Average is the glow of a screen at 2 a.m. while your potential withers in the dark. Average is the story you tell yourself, I'll change tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. Do you know why most men stay stuck here? Because mediocrity feels safe. It demands nothing. It risks nothing. It costs nothing, but it also gives you nothing. Look around. Most men drift through life like passengers on a ship they never agreed to board. They accept jobs they hate, habits that kill them slowly, and friendships that drain instead of build. And when life asks them to rise, they retreat into the comfort of just enough. But here's the question that should haunt you. What has average ever given you? Has it given you pride when you look in the mirror? Has it given you fire when you wake up in the morning? Has it given you peace when you close your eyes at night? No. Average robs men quietly until they die with their potential still locked inside them. And here's the part they'll never teach you in school, in church, or in your job. Escaping average doesn't happen by accident. No man stumbles into greatness. Every man who broke free made a decision so violent, so final, that the old version of him could never return. Henry Ford didn't hope to escape the average life of a farm boy. He tore away from it with a vision that burned so deep it kept him alive when the world laughed in his face. Edison didn't accept failure as proof he was average. He used it as fuel to build what no one believed possible. Carnegie didn't wait for opportunity to knock. He broke the door off its hinges. They all had one thing in common. They refused to accept the silent contract of mediocrity. And now it's your turn to face that same choice. Because whether you want to admit it or not, right now, you are standing at a fork in the road. On one side, average, comfort, safety, a life you'll regret. On the other side, the path of fire, discipline, risk, pain, a life worth remembering. And here's the truth, average men will never take that second path, but extraordinary men, they already decided. So the question is, which man are you? Let's expose the traps, the invisible chains that keep men locked inside mediocrity. Trap 1. Distraction. Most men are drowning in noise. Their minds hijacked by screens and endless scrolling. They consume other men's lives while neglecting their own. They know the names of athletes, influencers, and celebrities, but they can't name their own mission. And here's the dark secret. Distraction doesn't just steal your time, it steals your destiny. Trap 2. Comfort. Comfort feels good for a moment, but deadly for a lifetime. The gym hurts, so he skips it. The business risk feels scary, so he delays. The conversation feels uncomfortable, so he avoids, and every skipped step becomes a chain, until the man wakes up one day trapped inside the prison he built himself. Trap 3. Excuses. The average man is a master storyteller, but only when it comes to explaining his failure. I didn't have the right parents. I didn't have the right luck. I didn't have the right timing. But here's the reality. Excuses are lies. You tell yourself so you can stay comfortable in your cage. And worst of all, hash 4. Waiting. The average man lives in a fantasy called someday. Someday he'll get serious. Someday he'll take action. Someday he'll live his dream. But someday never arrives. It's a drug that numbs him into believing he has time, when in reality time is the one thing he's running out of. Now let's be clear, these traps are not accidents. They are designed entire industries profit. When men stay weak, distracted, and average, but you are not powerless. Because here's the secret. Breaking free begins with one decision. A decision so powerful it cuts through excuses, dismantles distractions, and destroys the comfort that keeps you trapped. It's the decision to stop living as a spectator and step fully into the arena of your own life. Think about it. Every great man you admire wasn't extraordinary because he was born different. He became extraordinary the moment he decided to live with definiteness of purpose. Napoleon Hill called it the root of all achievement. A purpose so strong, so clear, that it reshapes how you think, how you move, how you speak. Without it, you scatter your energy across 100 meaningless pursuits. With it, you become a force the world cannot ignore. But here's the painful truth. Average men never define their purpose. They drift, they dabble, they waste years, trying things without ever committing to one. And in that drift, their lives dissolve into nothing. So if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're circling the same mountain year after year, it's not because you're unlucky. It's because you haven't made the one decision that separates the average from the unstoppable, to claim your purpose and to burn every bridge back to mediocrity. So how do you escape? How do you break free from the silent death sentence of average? It begins with this principle: identity before action. See, most men think they need to do more before they can become more. But the truth, you must first decide who you are, then act in alignment with it. Average men act like employees of their own lives, waiting for permission, waiting for opportunity, waiting for someone else to tell them you're ready. But the man who rises flips the script. He says, I am already the man I'm becoming. He acts like success is inevitable, like the life he desires is already written, and then he builds the proof through his actions. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. Thomas Edison didn't experiment 10,000 times because he thought he might invent the light bulb. He acted like it was already his. Andrew Carnegie didn't build an empire because someone guaranteed him riches. He worked like the fortune was already carved in his name. Henry Ford didn't revolutionize industry because he was lucky. He moved as if his vision was already unstoppable. Do you see the pattern? They didn't wait for evidence. They moved first, and evidence bent to their belief. Now here's the escape strategy for you. Define your mission. Stop drifting. Write it down. What are you building? Who are you becoming? What is non-negotiable? Without a mission, every day bleeds into the next. With a mission, every day becomes a brick in your empire. Install discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It's liberation. It frees you from the slavery of mood and excuse. When you do what you said you'd do, even when it's hard, you start to trust yourself. And that trust becomes unshakable confidence. Eliminate mediocrity triggers. Cut the endless scrolling. Cut the someday friends. Cut the habits that keep you small. Average men cling to comfort zones like life rafts, but those rafts are sinking. Burn them. Go beyond what's required. Here's the law. The man who does more than he's paid for will soon be paid for more than he does. Most men stop at good enough. You must live in the extra mile, because that's where the competition disappears. Rewire your self-talk. The words you repeat become the walls of your reality. If you constantly feed your mind with doubt, you'll live doubt. If you speak certainty, you'll act with certainty. So speak it daily. I am not average. I refuse to drift. I am building a life that cannot be ignored. When you stack these 5 steps, mission, discipline, elimination, over-delivery, and self-talk, you create something rare: momentum. And momentum is the death of average. Because once a man moves with consistent force, nothing can stop him but himself. But here's the warning. Most men will hear this and nod their heads, maybe even feel inspired for a moment, and then go right back to mediocrity. They'll let the fire die before it ever becomes action. You cannot be one of them. You must decide right now, are you the kind of man who drifts back into the crowd, or the kind who steps forward, burns the old scripts, and walks into the arena with fire in his chest? Most men will die average. That's the hard truth. They'll spend their lives scrolling, wishing, half working, half living, then look back in regret. But you wouldn't still be here if you were like them. You wouldn't be listening to these words if something inside you wasn't already screaming, I was made for more. And here's the test. Pay attention, because this is where average men always fail. The first sign that you are transforming is not building a business or stacking millions or standing on stages. No. The first sign is that you take the smallest, simplest step immediately. because the average man waits. The rising man moves. So let me make it practical. If this message hit you, if you know you are done living average, prove it. Not to me, but to yourself. Right now, subscribe to this channel. Because the man who moves on his first conviction without hesitation is the man who rewrites his story. That single decision is not about YouTube. It's about you. It's about whether you let hesitation own you or you finally own yourself. Understand this. Average men delay. Leaders decide. And every time you delay, you reinforce the old identity. Every time you decide, you reinforce the new one. So decide now. Say it aloud. I am not average. I do not drift. I decide and I act. That's how transformation begins. That's how average dies. And here's the final truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is handing you permission. Nobody is giving you certainty. You are the green light. You are the permission. You are the breakthrough. From this moment forward, you walk, you speak, you act like the man who already escaped mediocrity, because the only way out is to live as if you've already won. Most men will stay average, but you won't, because you just proved you are not most men.